Welcome to Future Maker, York Science Podcast, where we explore unconventional career path for science students. I'm Hugo Chan. Today's episode is titled STEM to Bay Street, Why Science Students Thrive in Finance. We are diving into a topic that might surprise some of our science students. Accounting and the CPA designation. Can STEM students really become CPA? Can a background in data science, mathematics, biology, physics, or chemistry lead to a rewarding business career? I'm joined today by my co-host, Tian. Hello, Tian.
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Tian, and it's very nice to join for the podcast with Hugo. So let's be honest, not every student, science student, is heading to graduate school or going to do research and stay in the lab. And a lot of them, like me, maybe just passionate about the numbers, the strategy in solving business problems. So if you have ever wondered about can a science student going into consulting, accounting, or work in business industry, this episode is definitely for you. And we will dive into the soft skill, the mindset, and how the strength of the science student can help them to succeed in this finance industry. Yeah, so let's dive into it.
Exactly. And to help guide us through the conversation, we are joined by Sean Mullin. Sean is a dynamic facilitator, public speaker, and a coach who works with corporate teams and post-secondary institutions across Canada. He's also the Senior Student Engagement Specialist at one of the leading CPA organizations where the surprise students explore accounting and business career. Sean, welcome to Future Maker. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Sean, I saw your LinkedIn profile and I was so surprised with a rich career across different multiple industry, from facilitation, education, student engagement, and soft skill training. So can you walk us through a bit about your career journey and how can you get into this current role?
Absolutely. So, it's clear my career has taken, a bit of a zigzag. And I think as I spent a lot of time in this space working with professionals and doing a lot of career advice and facilitating events and conversations with other people my age or more, talking about what that pathway, rarely is there ever a linear pathway for your career. It's very, very challenging for someone who's 18 or 19 to understand everything that's out there and know what that pathway is all about. So I get to have the pleasure of telling people it wasn't until my late 30s that I really figured out what I was passionate about and wanted to do. Started out in a corporate training environment, working for a company in a cubicle in Mississauga, and then all of a sudden realized this is not for me. I wanted to have the call to adventure. So I went overseas and spent a couple of years in Korea where I decided I want to be a teacher. So I came back and got my teaching degree, went back to China, taught an international school there for a few years, came back to Canada. I had chosen a career and a designation that didn't have a lot of job opportunities back in 2009 in the teaching world. So I got into recruitment. So I got into a company that recruited teachers to teach overseas and started getting a bit of a blend of the education piece as well as the business side, the recruitment side. And then a colleague in my network said, "You're a pretty good presenter. Come and consider CPA Ontario." I didn't know anything about accountants or the world of accounting or finance then, but said, "Sure, let's take the interview. Let's go have the conversation." And through that, I found a really good role where I got a sense of really helping people discover careers that are out there, understanding the important questions that they need to ask, and the role that I could play in terms of, I'm not the best person to talk to you about international financial reporting standards or, quantitative analysis, but I understand that no matter what your career journey is, particularly for the accounting and business students I talk to and the science students that I talk to, that there is an important amount of relationship building and personal branding and career discovery and growth mindset that you really needed to develop in order to be the top candidate. So I've found a thriving role in being able to help people discover and explore and build new connections to potential career paths that are out there, develop some of the key important skills and experiences, competencies, and confidence that they need to move forward to that next step, to be the the more competitive person to whatever that next step may be. And the understanding the importance of people need to know who you are and know about your story and connect to it in a meaningful way so they can choose to do work with you, whether it's, through business, contracts, consulting, or eventually hire you as a person. And that's where I fell in love with, career coaching and really understanding that there's this huge missing curriculum that is critical for people starting their careers, which is not taught in the classroom, around team building, emotional intelligence, communication. And that is what I've been doing both in my role at CPA Ontario and the freelance work I do on the side with a number of different companies, helping their teams become, more accountable and more cohesive and develop ways that they can problem solve and work through issues together. And so that's kind of the roundabout way of my career. But I would like to tell students is, listen, ignore the pressure from your families. I know they all want you to tell you, what is your plan? What are you figuring out? We've invested this money. You've come to Canada. Are you going to be a doctor, an engineer, lawyer? We need to know. But I actually feel a deep sense of empathy for those who think they know what they want to do. The world is so vast. And if you think you know at 20 what you're going to be doing for the next 30 years, then you really are potentially missing out on some great things. So I'm a living example how you can try new things and move around and pivot and find your path, your true passion and path in life, midway through or later on.
So Sean, you have worked extensively in talent development and student engagement at CPA Ontario. So from your experience, why should science or STEM student consider the CPA designation? Maybe we can start. What's the CPA stand for?
Yeah, so CPA is Chartered Professional Accountants. It is the business designation in Canada. And what it means is, unfortunately, in today's competitive business world, 50 years ago, you could get a high school diploma, get a blue collar job, buy a house, have a car, have some vacations. When I graduated university, a degree was enough to be able to set yourself on a path of financial success and freedom. But in today's competitive marketplace and economic climate, you need more than just a degree. You need to have either a postgraduate degree or some sort of formal designation that speaks to the world that you are not only part of a regulated profession and that you've got certain educational competency standards, but you have that really vast skill set. And that you bring a lot more to the table than someone whose experience may be ambiguous. So accountants, what are they? Who are they? Are the trusted financial experts. Every company, every organization, every department, every charity, every government entity, it has people in it that they rely on to understand and speak the language of business. Everything, York University, all of it is a business. And people that speak that language. And what is the language of business? It's numbers, it's money, it's data. People that can speak this language are able to be more competitive problem solvers, more strategic thinkers, better decision makers. There's not a decision that any business makes at any time, anywhere, that doesn't involve a thorough understanding of what are the numbers really telling us. And I think that's one of the misconceptions about accounting is it's not quite math because the numbers are there. It's all there for everyone to see. Everyone can see the same financial reports and revenue statements as everyone else. But what the CPAs are able to do is look at these numbers and see the story behind them. What are the patterns? What are some of the key, data points that we're understanding here that's telling a better story and helping us pivot or make the decision we need to make next. And so that is really what being a CPA is all about. It's understanding how to solve complex problems, how to make good decisions. And those are the most important aspects that any business unit needs in order to be successful and thrive and survive. So why should a science student become a CPA? Well, we have a diverse background. We have lots and lots of people that come into the program who have different degrees and different skill sets. And I think that when we talk about some of the important skills like analytical skills and problem solving skills and design skills, that's what it all comes down to. We've identified the problem or we've identified an opportunity based on these numbers. Now, how do we build out of that? How do we plan strategically and accordingly? How do we design it in a way that makes sense and makes the best use of the resources? And so science students would come with a natural skill set, a natural sense of logic, a natural integration with technology. We'll talk a little later on about the future of the profession, why augmentation with AI and AI tools makes it a really exciting time to be a CPA. But when it comes to like understanding and speaking that language, science is a language, math is a language, engineering is a language. And I think that, you speak to people to pull from that language analogy. If you're someone that already knows how to speak, Portuguese and French and Italian and English, then learning German becomes that much easier because your brain is already ready to process how different language systems work together. And that's what accounting is all about.
Yeah. So like when you work with like science student or like any technical like student with any technical background, do you see any like unexpected like advantages from them when like, they try to like go into the accounting or like finance profession?
Absolutely. So, what CPAs are known for, there's two really things that they're known for the most of all. One is their judgment, is being able to be objective about a set of data and to understand using the right tools and the right methods and the right, we call it the CPA way. It's like a hat you put on that. It's a special way of addressing and tackling problems, analyzing that situation, having that unbiased, high ethical standard allows people to that's why CPAs are hired so often and relied upon and trusted for their advice, because they have that process of tackling a problem the same way a science student might look at gathering all the evidence, looking at what's empirical, and then testing different things, and then seeing how things relate on that test, checking for results. And then now that we've got a verification of a hypothesis, now what do we do with that? How do we scale that? How do we deliver it? How do we add value? And so the other thing too is in terms of data and understanding what data means now. We got AI giving us huge amounts of data that we've never seen before. AI is great at that, but what it can't do is decide, does this data actually make sense, and what should we do with it, and how do we talk about it to our client? There always needs to be a human in the loop in that conversation, and that's what the CPAs are able to do. They're able to use their judgment to go, does this make sense or not? The other thing that's important from a CPA's point of view is that they're looked at as I lost my train of thought here, but we're talking about data analytics, science, and process. I lost my train of thought. I truly apologize for this. We're talking about the technical skills. They're relied upon their judgment. Oh yeah, that's it. So they're also, yes, there's specific learning, but there's a system of learning that CPAs are well known for. So I talked to a partner the other day, and she said, well, my friends and families always ask me, what do you specialize in? Are you specializing in mining and in food service? Are you specializing in corporate finance? Are you specializing in entertainment? She goes, no, I specialize in learning. I have ability to learn so quickly that you give me a new client in a new industry, within 2 weeks, I can learn and understand enough that I can start adding value. And I think that process of learning and self-driven learning that STEM students and science students are really well known for and trained for translates very well into the type of learning that CPAs are called upon to do.
I see.
Thank you so much, Sean, for this deep insight. And we also always hear that soft skills are super important in any industry, especially in the business world. But can you help break that down a bit for us? What specific soft skill do you think students should focus on building to drive in and stand out among others?
There is a trend to replace the term soft skills with human skills or power skills, which I really like, because when you hear the word soft, you assume secondary or less important. And when we do our work with CPA bound students, I always say, look, unless your career path is headed towards being a lighthouse keeper, well, then you're going to work with other humans. You're going to lead other humans. You're going to work for humans. You're going to work for, investors and clients and board members. You have a lot of people around that you're going to need to build trust with, build likability with, and have them have confidence in you and in your capabilities very, very quickly. And so we talk about the fact that you will have the technical training. You're going to know the numbers. You're going to know the data. You're going to see it. But unless you have the ability to stand up in front of your room of C-suite executives, in front of your clients, in front of your investors, in front of your teams, and say, look, I speak this language. I know what these numbers mean. And based on the trends that I'm spotting here, we need to be careful. We need to move in this. We need to divest in this. We need to merge with this company. We need to invest in this one. We need to buy this other one. This is where we need to head. But you need to be able to drive that change forward. You need to get buy-in from the people. You need to help them understand this, and you need to lead. And so when I talk to CPAs, and we have all kinds of events during the year where we do podcasts like you're doing, or panel discussions or fireside chats, I always ask them the question, what's the biggest misconception? What's the biggest stereotype that the movies and the books and TV gets wrong when they talk about accountants? And every CPA says the same thing. They say, Sean, this is a people skills business. This is a leadership skills business. A partner at PwC said to me, Sean, rarely in my career has a client ever asked me for the answer. They always ask me, can you help me understand this? Can you walk me through this? Can you give me your best advice on where we should go from here? That's the skill set that's required. So, and it's needed in every business. I mean, you need to be able to influence people. You need to be able to lead people. And so what are the most important skills around that? Obviously, communication. Communication is critical. And it's the ability to make people feel that you've heard them. It's through active listening skills. It's not just I'm hearing your message, but in so doing, in my body language and tone, I'm making you feel valued. I'm making you feel that you're important to me, that you're feeling heard, and that I'm honoring and growing this relationship. But I'm also trying to communicate in a way that shows my confidence, and my warmth, and my competence. I need to communicate in a way that's persuasive. I need to communicate in a way that's assertive. I need to communicate in a way that gets you to buy into what we're doing, particularly in a time where we're dealing with volatile change. I need to sometimes communicate difficult messaging with you, but to get you to buy in for that. So communication is absolutely critical. Emotional intelligence. EQ, or emotional intelligence, has been shown to be an indicator of better, and people who have higher EQ will always outperform those with higher IQ in every single profession. The data is overwhelming. And that means that you have the ability to understand the emotional drivers of the other people in the room and how to leverage those and respond to those, and how to understand your own emotional drivers and what's happening in real time, and being able to control and respond to those effectively. People who have high EQ are inspiring leaders that can lead through change. They are inspiring salespeople. They're inspiring in all the different ways. So high emotional intelligence is critical. And of course, the ability to work as a team, to collaborate. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Right now we're going to an event at one of the big four firms, and we do many events during the year where we bring in recruitment teams and hiring managers from big companies who will then tell our student ambassadors, here's what we're looking for at our company. Here are the most important things on your resume. Here is what we care about. And they always say the same thing. We are looking for innovators, we're looking for collaborators, we're looking for future leaders. And everyone in the room says, well, I'm a leader right here, over here, pick me. Okay, cool. Where's the evidence of that? I got 90% on my financial reporting class. Well, that's fantastic work. It shows your ability to learn, but it doesn't show your ability to lead. So where does that come from? It comes from developing and practicing through what you're doing now, extracurricular involvement, student clubs, and things like that. When you go for an interview at one of the top banks and one of the top firms, they will not ask you a single accounting question, not one, in the whole interview. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? I mean, you're going for an accounting job, you're not going to test my skill set. Well, no, they can see on your transcript that you know how to learn. They can see that you've been able to learn technical things. They know that they can teach you international financial reporting standards. They can teach you how to read the Tax Act. But what they can't teach you, and they are so desperate to identify in the recruitment process, is can you communicate with other people? Can you work with other people? Can you think critically, and can you problem solve? Those are the ones that they're looking for. A partner summed it up to me very well. She said, there's only two things I care about, Sean, when I'm hiring you. Can I put you in front of a client? So can you communicate, and are you professional? And the second thing was, can I sit next to you on an airplane for 8 hours? So what she's saying there, she's saying, I can teach you international financial reporting standards. That's easy. But what I can't teach you is be someone that's interesting enough, that has enough personality, that has enough team dynamics and interpersonal skills that I actually want to work with every single day, that I can put on my team tomorrow. And at lunch, you'll actually sit with the team, building cohesion and culture. rather than sitting by yourself. The technical stuff, anyone can learn that on a webinar, on a module, but to teach you to be someone that can show personality without being personal, to see to someone that, who can build likability quickly in a room, who shows warmth and competence and is approachable, that is really, really critical in every industry. And the only way to get that stuff is to be intentional about it in practice.
That is really like insightful. Thank you so much for the response. And also I think a lot of students heard about the term networking. You need to network in order to have an internship or get a job later. But they may, a lot of them may not very know about what actually is networking. How can they stand out? How can they make a strong impression? So what advice do you have for those students who attending maybe a career booth or a coffee chat before, during, and after that to make a strong impression to the employers?
All right, fantastic. Now, this is my most famous and most asked about workshop, the networking workshop. And so I'm going to try my best to keep what will be an hour and a half into a short answer for you. So by all means, jump in here and stop me if I'm off the rails. But networking is it has such a negative connotations to it. I'm a recovering anti-networker. I hated going to networking. I would go to my events, I would say my piece and say, "Oh, look at the time. Sorry, I gotta go," and I would leave before the awkward networking because, what people think networking is just like you mentioned. It's a means to an end. People think I have to network because I need to go get a job, and I'm going to talk to Hugo. I'm just going to pick a company here. Let's say TD Bank, okay? Here's Hugo. I've always wanted to work at TD Bank, and my mom worked at TD. My grandma worked at TD. I've got a TD tattoo. I used to have TD teddy bears when I was a kid. And here's Hugo, Director of Capital Markets at TD Bank. And so the mistake that people make is they think networking is a 15 minutes to get a job. And it becomes so transactional. And so the risk we do is I need to go into this conversation and I need to impress Hugo somehow, so much so that he says, "Sean Mullin's the one, let's go." Now, what happens to us mentally when we do that experience? We're totally stressed. We're worried about in our head, am I saying the right thing? Am I looking impressive? Am I saying impressive things? Oh gosh, he's looking the right way. Oh, there's awkward silence. What do I say? And this fear of being rejected. I mean, even the most professional communicators can't possibly, thrive in an environment like this. And so what we need to understand is that networking is just relationship building. You already know how to do this. You have a relationship with your neighbor, you have a relationship with a friend, you have a relationship with a classmate. We know how to make friends. It's the same skill set. But we have to understand that if I'm trying to build a relationship strategically, that there's a lot more that goes into building a good relationship. And you would never go up to your friend because they have a new pool that you want to go swimming in, just like I want to work at TD Bank, and you're constantly thinking about how do I get into that pool? They're going to feel like you're using them. And so the key here is that, remember, networking is not 15 minutes to get a job. It's 15 minutes to start a 30-year relationship. It's a long game. And so the whole purpose of networking is not to focus on, I want to get into TD Bank, but I want to meet someone at TD Bank that I can learn from and be inspired by and get to know. And so if I can focus on you and your experience, what you like about it, and I can show that I'm caring about you, the conversation is much more likely to go well. So networking is not about selling yourself. Networking is selling the experience of talking to you. If you have a good experience having a conversation with me, you're much more likely to accept a coffee chat request. If you have a great conversation with me at an event and you remember that, you're going to want another one of those conversations. I mean, it's simple logic, right? And so the goal is to make the experience for the other person as positive as you can. There's an amazing quote by Maya Angelou. If you don't know her, she's one of the greatest writers of our time. And she says, people are going to forget the things that you say, and they'll forget the things that you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Think about it, right? You're in a time you're on campus and you see someone like, I know that guy. What's his name? I forget. And I forget where I know him from, but I remember that he's really nice or he's a jerk. right? Does that ever happen to you? Right? Our brains are programmed to remember the feelings. And so even if you walk into this conversation and deliver this amazing elevator pitch and this perfect, impressive thing about your projects and your financial background, even if you nail it, all the person's going to remember is how nervous you were, the feeling that they had when you were trying to impress them. That's an uncomfortable feeling. So if you want networking to go well, the only measurement that matters, you go into this event, you go into this coffee chat, I went over and talked to you at the alumni event, and you want to know, did that conversation go well or not? The only measurement that matters is, does it feel good to talk to you? That's the entire goal. And so how do we make someone feel good talking to us? You never ask for the job. And you're thinking, well, why am I coming to this networking event if I'm not looking for a job? They know you're looking for a job. Are you you're looking for a job? They know that. You would never go on a first date and ask somebody to marry you. That's crazy. So why am I going to meet you for 15 minutes and say, hey, we should work together every single day and put me in front of your clients and your team? We just met. It's just that crazy. So your personal brand is defined as people know you and they like you and they trust you. How do I get people to know you? Well, you got to show up. You got to put your camera on. You got to volunteer. You got to part of student clubs. You got to be on LinkedIn. You got to participate in conversations. Sit up front. Put your hand up. Because no one can make any decisions about you if they don't know who you are. How do we get people to like you? How do we get them to trust you? Well, to trust, be consistent, be positive, be curious, never ask for the job, because now you're just using me. But how do we get people to like you? Well, the best way that I have found to get people to like me is to do two things at the same time. One is to be unapologetically authentic. Be yourself. Us humans are very suspicious people, and our brains have evolved over tens of thousands of years to be suspicious of anyone that has anything to hide, and we can tell right away. And so the second thing is, if you want someone to feel good, make them the center of attention. Go on a coffee chat, ask them questions, ask them about their career, ask them about what they've done so far, ask them about what they love about it, ask them about, some of the challenges they've had, ask them about good books that they're going to read. If you can make the other person the center of attention, remember, they're not going to remember what you said or did anyways. They'll only remember, what does it feel like to talk to you? And business people love to talk about themselves. They love it. And if you were to ask yourself in your life, your friends, your family, your neighbors, your aunts and uncles, who are the ones you like spending time with the most? I'm willing to bet that those are the people that spend time being interested in you and asking you questions. So what I always say to people in my workshop is like, this is some really good news. The good news is that the most effective networking is actually the easiest, which is stop trying to insert yourself by saying impressive things they won't remember anyways, and ask them questions and focus on them. And when you do that, you're not in your own head worrying about what do I say next. You're focusing on what they're saying and waiting for the next follow-up question that you can ask because you're showing that you're interested in them. One of my favorite quotes I've ever heard is, if you go around asking for a job, you're going to get advice instead. But if you go around asking for advice, sometimes you get a job.
We need to put this quote on here. We have to put this quote after our editing. Make sure everyone, make sure they remember.
Why does that matter? It matters because if you want someone to feel really good, really fast, in a short conversation that costs you nothing, that risks you nothing, ask them for advice. One of the secret superpowers that all young people have, that they have been biologically programmed to squash down over their teenage years, one of the most important superpowers that you have that it's time to unlock, is that old people love giving advice. I'm doing it right now, having a blast. That's why I agreed to come to this podcast. I love giving advice. We have 8,000 mentors in the CPA program. We have 8,000, no joke. They are not getting paid for it, and they are very busy. Why would people volunteer to be mentors? Because they want to give advice. What happens when you give advice? You feel special, knowledgeable, important, valued, respected, trusted, accomplished. These are great feelings. And so one of the challenges that people have when they think about networking is they go, I'm a first-year student. Hugo is the CFO of TD Bank. my finance course isn't until next semester. How am I supposed to talk to this guy about finance? I'm going to be a complete fraud. I'm going to get totally rejected. I have no idea what to say. He's going to think this is a complete waste of his time. But when Hugo shows up at an event and someone asks for advice, you feel knowledgeable, important, respected, accomplished, valued, all those great feelings. That's your gift that you can give to somebody. And I don't care how many multi-million-dollar deals you sold and settled that day. The 15 minutes you spent talking to a young person who was interested in you and asked for your advice was the best 15 minutes of your day. So what we want to do is understand how much power you have, how much you have to offer, as long as you are curious enough, courageous enough, authentic enough, grateful enough to go to someone with your questions and the advice that you want to ask. And if you can do that, and it's going to take practice, you're going to fail, you're going to ask some dumb questions, you go, I should have done that better, then you can do that. Now let me ask you a question really quickly. Tian.
Yes.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry? Why?
Because I watch it like when I was young, and I watch it every day.
Oh, fantastic. Who are you cheering for, the Tom or Jerry?
Cheering for Jerry, as always.
That's fantastic. Now, did you know I had that question prepared? Did I send that question to you in advance?
No.
Was it hard to answer?
It's quite hard though, because it's not related to the podcast.
It's not related, but the point that I'm making is that I'm not saying in a networking conversation you'll never talk about yourself. I'm saying when you go in with the intention is I have to say these things, then you're in your own head and they're going to feel this is weird and they're not going to have a good experience. But if you're focusing on the questions you want to ask, you're so much more present and you can lead the dance in the conversation. And then when they suddenly ask you a question about your favorite movie or anyone can answer a question about themselves. You don't need to prepare for that.
Yes.
And that's how you have an authentic, natural conversation. So networking is needed. It's completely needed. It's completely critical all the time. You should be networking with your professors. You should be networking with your classmates. You should be networking with alumni. You should be networking with industry experts, with representatives, when you get your tires changed at the car shop, sit next to the person and practice having those conversations. Practice talking about them for 10 minutes. Next time you're at a wedding and you see your aunt or uncle, ask them questions for 10 minutes. And when they ask you, well, how's school going? Well, thanks for asking. It's going really well. I'm excited for this semester. Believe it or not, I'm thinking about accounting now after being a science student. But I wanted to come back to something you said a minute ago. Can you help me understand that a bit more? Practice making them the focus so that it's an instant muscle memory. And if you can do that, you can handle any conversation you want. I'll tell you one last story about this before I move on. I was at the Toronto Blue Jays game home opener this year, and my best friend, I live in Hamilton, and my best friend lives in East York. So we're walking to Union Station together. I was going to get on the GO train. I have an hour, 20-minute GO train back to Hamilton. I have a whole podcast ready. I'm so excited for some Sean time on the GO train, and he's going to take the subway. On the walk, we run into his cousin Rob that I had met at his wedding 10 years ago. Like, hey man, how you doing? I remember you. And my friend said something that I will never forgive him for. He said, wait, you both live in Hamilton. You should take the train together. Now, if you've never taken the GO train together, you sit like this, like face to face. So now I have an hour and 20 minutes on this very bright GO train with a guy I don't even know. And I'm supposed to talk to him for an hour and 20 minutes. So what do? I ask questions. I ask questions as my way to survive a conversation. But the funniest thing happened. He answered them. Turns out we have a lot in common. I actually golfed with him 2 weeks ago. So that's really the secret to all of networking, is let the other person be the center of attention. Come up with some really good questions that are about them and not the company. I don't want to learn about TD. I want to learn about what you like about it and what you've accomplished there and what you enjoy about the culture and get your advice. Because if you can focus on the person and make them feel good, then they're going to want to continue that relationship. They're going to want to help you out. Believe me, if someone knows you and they like you and they trust you and they know about a job and how they can help you, they're going to do it. You don't need to ask.
Thank you so much. There's a lot of insight and very good toolbox, I think, for lots of students, not only science students. A lot of students it will be beneficial.
I will try those tips that you mentioned when I go somewhere.
Awesome.
So the next one, we would like to talk more about the career path, like CPA, more technical side. So let's say for science student, because of the topic for science students who hasn't taken traditional business or accounting courses. How realistic is it for them to transition into the CPA path in Canada?
And it's very realistic. So the CPA has a professional education program, kind of like I say, doctors go to med school and lawyers go to law school. CPAs go to PEP, or the professional education program. It's a 2.5-year program has education modules and practical experience. You're taking the learning, you're working full time the entire time. Now, in order to get into PEP, there's 3 things that you need. You need to have a degree in any subject, and that's what they're going to have with the science degree or with physics degree or whatever. Also need to have 15 of our subject areas are prerequisite subject areas. It goes from financial reporting, business law, taxation, audit assurance, and so on. So what typically happens is we hear a lot of career changers. We have a whole team that's dedicated to career changers. Will come to us saying, I've got a degree already. Maybe I took statistics already, or maybe I took economics. What do I need to do next? We do a self-assessment, and maybe they need to only do 13 courses left. But there's many ways of taking those courses. You can do it directly through CPA Ontario. You can do it through a School of Continuing Studies. York's has a great School of Continuing Studies program where over 2 semesters, you can have 3 semesters, I believe, you can have all these courses done. So, the real barrier here, the only barrier, is the prerequisite courses that you need to take. And there's multiple options of where you can take those, right? You're going to need the foundational technical knowledge to be able to survive and thrive, both in your practical experience and in the professional education program. So again, that can be done as little as a year.
And what is like the typical career path for like a newly designated CPA in Canada?
Yeah, great question. I think that's, people ask me, what's the value proposition here? What is the most exciting thing about being a CPA? And when people think about accountants, the first thing that usually comes to mind is thinking about those accounting firms, the Big Four, PwC, Deloitte, and firm like Assurance and Tax. Of all the CPAs in Canada, only 18% of CPAs work for a public practice firm. That isn't 18 at the Big Four. That's 18 of all the firms, large, medium, small, all across Canada. That means 82% of the job that CPAs are doing are outside of firms, and they're everywhere else. So when I think about what's the most exciting part about being a CPA, and I get to meet hundreds of them a year, and the look on their faces when they describe the work that they get to do and the real problems that they solve that matter and the real impact that they get to make, and being at the actual decision-making table and not having to wait 30 years in their career to be, leading multi-million-dollar projects or being brought into their CEO's office asking for advice, is that you get to choose. You'll be paid well for sure, but you get to choose because every company, every industry, every organization in the entire world uses CPAs, has CPAs who are leading. Because in order to become a top company in the world or to thrive, you need to have leaders that speak the language of business, that know how to make good decisions, how to solve complex problems, how to read the tea leaves and pivot and lead through change. And so what this means is you have unlimited choice. And that's why the CPAs I meet are so happy, because you want to be downtown on Bay Street? Sure, go ahead and do that. You want to open up your own bakery, your own consulting firm, working in mining, real estate, government, forensic accounting, tax. Every company everywhere is a potential for you to be in. So, so a lot of students will start with a firm type experience because having that firm experience gives a good, strong foundation of your audit and your tax work. Also gives you a chance to really understand how a lot of businesses work from the inside out, and really invaluable skills. But the majority of students that go through the program, will work at a company. They'll work at Pepsi, they'll work at Bell, they'll work at Walmart, they'll work at Canadian Tire, and really get incredibly in-depth knowledge of how that organization works and develop their skill sets that way. So that's the best part and the most challenging part of being a CPA student, is that every door is open to you. Literally every door in every company, in every industry, is a potential pathway for you. That's the good news. But the challenge then is, well, which door do I go through? Where do I apply? What industry do I connect with? And of course, there's a lot of other business CPA candidates trying to get into the same company. How do I be the most competitive person in that role? And do I know what's on the other side of that door? Have I built any relationships? Have I, connected with anyone that works there to understand what kind of company is this? What's the culture like? Is it innovative? Is it collaborative? Is there, is there good professional development? What's the onboarding process look like? What's my progression going to be? Is there good coffee here? I mean, these are questions you want to ask to figure out, should I apply for this company? And so, the good news is all the doors are open. The challenge is there needs to be action that you take in order to find out, because we can't give you the job. Now, our CPA Ontario has something called the Post-Secondary Ambassador Program, or PSAP, PSAP for short. And this program is designed to give students a chance to meet CPAs in finance, in forensic accounting, in consulting, in entrepreneurship, in government, in firm life, in partners, in controllers, in corporate finance. Meet all of them you can, so you can start to go, I want to do that. We also, in this program, have workshops and asynchronous courses to develop the skills and competencies so you can be the most competitive person going through that door. And finally, as I always say in my networking workshops, networking is not about who you know, it's who knows you. I can give you a list of every hiring manager in Ontario, nothing's going to happen. It's when they know you, they can make decisions. So there are things that you need to be doing within any career path to transition your careers by building those relationships with the folks that are that can give you the information and inspiration, and then of course building the skills along the way so you be competitive. So typical jobs, we generally end up being in accounting firm as an accounting associate or junior accounting, or an industry kind of as a financial analyst or a business analyst tends to be the start of your career, because it does require just like in medical school, you have a rotational element that you need to do in residency. There is a rotational element you need to do for your 30 months of practical experience. Once that's done, the world's your oyster, and you can do anything and anywhere in business.
Yeah, and beside the career path, like a lot of students also like interest about like the potential earning. So based on your experience, like can you share about like the earning of the CPA path like over the years?
Yeah, typical entry level jobs, range from about $70,000 for your entry level while you're a CPA candidate. But in most cases, after 3 years, people are over $100,000. And then from where, so, the starting point, I know for those who are everyone seems to be interested in being an investment banker, even though they only hire 200 of them a year in all of Ontario. I think less now in today's climate, and 90% of them quit. So it is a higher in finances. Sometimes the salary can be higher for the start, but I think you need to look more holistically around what is your career options. You're investing in a designation that will catch you up to those finance salaries very soon, but with it have a designation that can take you to any company, industry, everywhere around the world. And why does that matter? Well, money is important, of course it is, but so is your overall sense of happiness. And motivation comes from autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And understanding that your work that you do matters, that it has real impact on real people, on business, on society, on your clients, on your company, on the well-being of your teammates. That sense of purpose and you being able to be a part of that decision and having so much impact earlier in your career while also making a great salary, I think is the reason why so many CPAs are happy. Now, listen, you would never go to a restaurant on your birthday without looking at the reviews, right? What are other people saying about this place? Would I like it too? Well, for goodness sake, this is your career. Are you not looking at the reviews? Are you not talking to people who are doing these jobs to get a feel, an emotional feel, as does this work for me? It is not okay to go and talk to a CPA and say, tell me about your job, and now I understand it. I've just told you there are so many types of being a CPA in so many industries and so many companies. I'm going to EY tonight. Even in EY, there's dozens of ways of being a CPA at EY. So it's important to make an informed choice anywhere you go in your career by talking to the people that have this lived experience to figure out if this is the right career path for you. And so in that vein, that's the goal of networking, is to learn and be inspired. And so if you go into a conversation and it doesn't turn into a job, but I got to learn a bit more about what it's like to be you and what it's like to get there, and I get some really good insight and advice, boom, I've won no matter what.
Yeah. So as a science student, like for example, me and my friends may be like very worried about like how our experience like can be applied into like the accounting like industry, because like for science student like we may have like a lot of experience about like research, about lab work or like assignments, but it's not like related to business as at all. So how can us like reframe those experience so that like it's easier to like more stand out?
Sure, absolutely. I think that you always get to tell people how to talk about you. You teach people how to talk about your story. And so everyone will enter the program with those 15 prerequisites and a degree. Everyone. The difference is that science students will enter the program with 15 prerequisites and a degree and a complex science mathematics background. That's an advantage. When you're telling your story, you get to say, I was learning all of this. And, it's one thing to be someone who at 16 said, I want to be an accountant. I've always known it. I'm in my way. But for the ones who are changing careers or pivoting, I think there's an opportunity to say, I really want this. I really want this because I'm going the extra mile to take my foundational learning and on top of that add the prerequisites. And so you get to tell people how to talk about you. You get to tell people how to frame you as having more than the accounting student. I'm not catching up to them. I'm ahead of them because I've got the same prerequisites, but I also have some amazing proven ability to work with and integrate technology. I understand quantitative reasoning from a different perspective, and I'm going to bring that diverse voice to you. Teams that have diverse perspectives and experiences always innovate and do better. I have engineering design and instructional design. I've got data and analytics skills that I can use to this. I've come up with a deep sense of understanding how to learn, of how to put things together logically and test them. I can bring in research and I can take huge amounts of research and I can distill it down to some key actionable points. That's the additional extra advantage I bring as a science student to the accounting world that other accounting students don't have. But unless you yourself frame it that way and understand the story that way, you can't expect other people to. You don't want to walk into the interview apologizing for the fact that you don't have an accounting degree. You want to be talking about the fact that you have something to the table that they don't have. So all of that logic, all of that learning and that design and the process management, the project management, the logic, the quantitative reasoning that you are so strong at is really an added skill set that you bring in that transfers very, very well. And remember, it's important it's important, very, very important to subsidize that with or complement that with the interpersonal skills. So if you are strongly considering doing this, it's not just about finishing your science degree, but it's about getting involved in student clubs, getting involved in a case competition. One of the most important things that employers are looking for is what's called a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is one that demonstrates that I can get better at anything with hard work, dedication, feedback, and self-reflection, and using the right tools. It's the idea of like, I can't do that. No, I can't do that yet. And so employers are very, very keen to find those who show that growth mindset, because people that have that growth mindset are able to persist and show grit and last and overcome complex problems over time. And that's an intangible thing that they want. They would much rather have someone from a science background that shows grit and who has shown the growth mindset. Because, okay, great, I'll teach you financial reporting standards. We'll teach you managerial accounting. That's easy. I can't teach you to be someone that loves learning and has shown, how to overcome adversity and how to learn from failure and setbacks. That's far more important. And that's why, again, when you go for these accounting interviews, they will not ask you accounting questions. They know you know how to learn. They want to see, do you have a leadership trajectory? Do you have the growth mindset? Do you know how to think critically and problem solve? Yeah, you do. You're a science student. You can think critically and problem solve. And do you know how to work with people? And if you have that, you're all set.
Thank you, Sean. It's clear that a science background offers a unique foundation that combined with the right mindset and soft skill can open door to many exciting careers in the business field. Before we close, what excites you most about the future of the CPA professional, particularly for students from non-traditional background like science?
Absolutely. I think that, the role of accounting is changing. We certainly are going to see some of those, bookkeeping type jobs, accounts payable jobs. Yeah, we're going to see those replaced by AI. But accountants will never be replaced by AI. They'll be replaced by accountants that know how to work with AI, that know how to use AI augmentation in the tools that they're doing. There's always going to be a human in the loop. And so, 30 years ago, before this time, many CPAs were spending a lot of their time gathering the paperwork, gathering the invoices, gathering this, and just kind of putting all the debits and credits together, making sure the financial statement, the balance sheet's there. Okay, the numbers are good. Now we've got a little bit of time left to look at the numbers and do some actual analysis and decision making around it and putting some strategy in place. Well, now with all this being automated now, it just frees up accountants to do what they do best, which is to make good decisions and problem solve and to look at data and how they can transform that into strategy and how they can lead organizations and companies through change. And look at where our country is now economically. We're about to go through we are going through some really disruptive times, and accountants are extremely well positioned to be able to do that and to know what is the right decision and how we move forward and how do we literally save our country. It's powerful, meaningful work that they're doing, and I'm grateful that we have some amazing minds that are on it. So I think it's actually a far more interesting time to be a CPA because you've got great tools, you've got great technology that allows you to really apply that specific judgment. And again, there's always going to be the need for a human being to help explain it to other stakeholders, to get their buy-in and to lead. And so I think that society is really starting to understand CPAs as real leaders. I think they're starting to understand that they're not like in the movies sitting in a little cubicle on a spreadsheet chunking numbers and sending it off to someone else. No, the numbers are coming to them and they're making the decisions. They're driving the ship. Of the top 50 companies in Canada, over 500 CPAs are in senior executive positions. Well, how do you get to be a top 50 company in Canada? You got to make a lot of money. You got to outcompete your competitors for market share. You got to have a high market cap. You got to be able to attract and retain top talent that want to work there. You got to innovate. You've got to pivot. You've got to lead. You've got to, please your investors. You got to attract your customers. My gosh, how do you do all of those things? You have leaders driving the ship that speak the language of business, and that's why CPAs are always going to be needed in business and leadership. And when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to, CPAs protect the public. We have an economy that's dependent upon trust in the financial systems. Well, who is there with the high ethical standards to making sure that who are highly regulated to make sure we have an economy that keeps going? CPAs are a part of that. And with your limitless potential, I have a lot of CPAs as well who take their skill set and then they go open up a bakery. We have a CPA that's a comedy writer for Nickelodeon, and she still talks about how her CPA mindset has helped her become a better writer in comedy. So these are transferable skills that will take you anywhere. And the most important thing you can do with any decision in life is talk to the people that made that decision and take their word for it. And so I invite anybody considering this to join our CPA Ontario events. Go to the CPA Ontario events page or find me on LinkedIn and connect. Join our award-winning post-secondary ambassador program, or PSAP. The PSAP program will give you dozens and dozens of events where you get to meet all kinds of CPAs in different careers that are not coming to your campus, to be able to build up your skills and confidence in areas so that you are competitive when you want to go through, and to give you tons of opportunity to meet different employers so that they know who you are and you are the most competitive person to walk through that door. And it's also a community and it's fun. And so we all need belonging. We all need connection. We are world-class in our delivery of our programming and our advice. Hopefully you're seeing that in this conversation now. Imagine what we can do together in a year of me helping you and our team helping you walk you through your career. And even if at the end of the day you decide not to be a CPA, great, you can benefit from the practice and the networking and the interview skills and the ethics workshops. You'll benefit all from it. So I invite you to join us in our PSAP program. Hopefully, Hugo, you can put the link up for everyone to see as well.
Sure, we will put the link here, and so everybody can see it.
Yeah. Anyways, that's like the end of our episode. Thank you so much, Sean, for spending time to be here with us and sharing all of your invaluable insight to us and to our listener. And to our listener, we hope that today's podcast will give you like a fresh perspective to like what you want to do or about the CPA designation. And feel free to connect with Sean on LinkedIn and don't miss any like event from the CPA Ontario. So we will provide all the link like in the description below.
For sure. So Sean, thank you again. Thank you so much for sharing your personal insight and experience. I'm sure many of our science students and STEM students will walk away from this episode with a clear understanding of how their skill can translate into impactful career beyond the lab. This episode brings together multiple voices from across the financial sector, including professionals working in insurance, advisory, capital market, and risk management, to help illustrate the wide range of opportunity available of STEM graduates. If you found today's conversation helpful, please follow us, like, and share the York Science Podcast with fellow students, our colleagues, who's exploring their own future. We appreciate you spending time with us today. If you are exploring your next step, remember, the degree is just the beginning. With a curiosity and drive, you can go far. Until next time, keep growing and keep making the future. You are a future maker. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean.